Well, welcome everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you who don't know, I'm Chef Bill Billenstein from the Silicon Beach Cafe here at Google. And today we're very proud to have Amelia Saltsman, local cook. She made sure that I tell you that she is not a chef, she's a cook, and she wants you to be able to cook too. Amelia has written this wonderful farmers market cookbook, the Santa Monica Farmers Market Cookbook. She's also a contributor to KCRW's Good Food. She is on the board of the Garden City Food Foundation.
Garden School Foundation.
Garden School Food Foundation. She's here today to go through a couple rapid fire recipes and show you the bounty of the seasons and some delicious things that you can do with your local farmers market produce. So without further ado, Amelia.
Thank you, Chef. Well, I am delighted to be here. Chef, you pretty well nailed it. You know what I'm all about. What I do is I really like to help people see the connections between their food, I should say among, because there's lots of things. The food that they eat, what it does for our health, what it does for the planet, all the things we sort of worry about in life, the answer is actually really simple. Start with flavorful, fresh ingredients. It's the fastest, easiest way to healthy, delicious cooking. Fast, right? So I'm just gonna get this started. I'm gonna put a little olive oil in here and throw some onions in that I've already chopped. And I'm gonna get that going while I introduce a little bit more of what we're doing. And it's gonna take us a little time to get adjusted here. So how many of you shop at farmers markets beyond what is brought to you here? You are so lucky. Yeah? Okay, great. So I'm preaching to the converted, right? But how many are you a little bit confused about what to do with some of the stuff? Don't have time, maybe it's hard. You feel like the window of what you're trying is a little bit narrow? Like if there's a lot of ingredients, but you're not sure what to do with them? So what I want to do today is try to get through as many things as we can, answering questions as we go, and try to show you some of the techniques, the simple techniques that you need, that you can just then vary everything, you know, through all of these vegetables, right? Now, I'm not a vegetarian, and this isn't vegetarian cooking, and my cookbook, the Santa Monica Farmers Market Cookbook, it covers everything. It covers sustainably raised meats and eggs and poultry, all the things that we should be looking to find as carefully grown as we can, because the key to all of this is flavor, right? If you start with, Chef and I were just talking, if you start with the most delicious ingredients, you'd really have to do very little. So that's the trick to cooking fast and simply. Another little trick is to layer flavors. So I've got some onion sauteing. So this first dish we're gonna do is a saute dish. That's a great technique. So what you wanna do is, with whatever you're cooking, don't add all the salt, let's say, at once. Add a little bit at a time. That's such an easy technique, but it will deepen and make more complex all the flavors that you're doing. So we're gonna do a Swiss chard dish first. Are you all familiar with Swiss chard? You all use it? Okay, because Kat told me, she's like, always like not sure what to do with Swiss chard. And this technique works with kale, it works with other quick cooking greens, all right? Escarole, fabulous. So basically we wanna look for contrast. We're gonna do onions, we're gonna do earthy greens, we're gonna give it some heat from red pepper, and we're gonna give it some sweetness from raisins. So that's another great technique. Contrasting flavors. Very exciting, really easy to do. That's why we all like salty sweet, right? Because it's contrasting flavor. So one of the things about cooking fast is how do you do it? So like that, right? Don't take a knife and start cutting. Want to see it again? I love this trick. A farmer taught me. Okay? Now with Swiss chard, you can use the stalk. It sort of has the texture of celery. So I've cut up a bunch here because we already separated out. So I'm going to start it with the onions because it takes a little bit longer to cook than the leaves. And another trick is that we don't want to add a whole lot of liquid to the pan because we want the flavors to come from the vegetables. Because if you add a lot of liquid, you can have boiled vegetables, and there's nothing really exciting about that. So now that I've got these fabulous looking leaves, all I need to do, can you all see? Can you see? Okay. Let me set this aside. This one? Okay, I'm going to set it aside right here until we're ready to use it. Okay, so now, like as if I were rolling a lot of tobacco leaves, now I'm going to cut it assembly line into these nice strips, right? And now that's ready, and that's only going to take a couple of minutes to cook. So what you want to do is soften the onions, get them starting to turn sweet. And the charred stems. So now what you also have is texture. You've got kind of contrasting texture. So in about 2 minutes, we've sort of hit all these great marks, right? But all we've done is cook a little onion and chard stems. Okay, so we are going to add the chard, and it might take a little bit more time we might have to do it in batches. A little salt, and it's going to wilt down pretty quickly. And you notice we still haven't added any water, any liquid to the pan. And as it's cooking down, I'm just going to add more. So this is 2 bunches of chard. And this happens to have white stems, but you've seen chard, sorry, Jenny, also comes rainbow. Does this remind you of anything? Any other vegetable? Beets? Beets? I didn't hear you. Is that what you? Okay. So, very close relative. Farmers would say that chard is really a beet without a root. That's how closely related. So that means if you buy beets, don't throw the tops away. You can cook them just like this. Okay? I like to call that a twofer. And actually, with fresh beets, the tops are the most nutritious. It's like any dark leafy green. It's really good for you, very good value. And here we go. Oh, can I give that to you? Thanks. This is Janine, everybody. Oh, and guess what I forgot to put in? I forgot to add the garlic. So I'm just going to stick it right here on the side. And I want you to take a look at this. Now, does this look like chopped sliced garlic that you're used to seeing? No. So I'm going to stick it in. I'm going to show you a little interesting factoid. And you notice I'm not using a lot of oil. Do you see how the color is brightening? Okay, what you're looking for, once the color is bright, we're going to add our raisins, and let's add a nice pinch of red pepper. to cover the pan. Very big technique, but that's an important technique. And can you see how it's cooking down? I'm going to cover the pan because which will allow the steam to develop, and I'm hoping that that's going to be enough moisture to soften the chard enough, and it just needs to cook maybe 5 minutes or so, 5 or 10 minutes. If it cooks longer, that's okay, but if you're in a hurry, that's okay too. And I'm going to check it in a few minutes. If it seems like it's dry or sticking, I'll add a little bit of water. Otherwise, I'm good. So let me show you the garlic. Yeah?
Do you chop the raisins or just use the
Okay, I just threw the raisins in, and by the way, these are raisins produced by a grape grower. I bought the raisins at the farmer's market directly from the producer. So they are this season's grapes, or from last summer. And it makes a really big difference. So the steam is going to soften the raisins as well. So it's doing its thing. I'm not doing much. So garlic, everything has a season. And we're used to seeing dried bulbs of garlic. But what we've got here is late spring garlic. In the beginning of the season, okay, these are baby leeks. They're not garlic, but in the beginning, garlic looks like this. Slim hips, right? And no cloves. As the plant grows, the bulb forms, the cloves form. Can I give you that? And you can start to see the cloves forming, okay? So I used late spring garlic. When it's young, you can use the tops. These are already getting too tough to use. So I'm going to take the carrots. So we're going to let that cook, and we're going to make a carrot dish. Do you have any other questions about that? Besides chopping raisins? No. No. So it's very juicy. Green garlic is very mild in flavor. It has kind of an herbaceous, sweet garlic flavor. And this is a perfect time to use it. As the plant develops, it gets stronger in flavor. So grilling, another great technique. Roasting, another great technique, but we don't have an oven here, but we'll talk about that in a second. So instead of putting oil on the grill, I'm putting a little bit of oil on the carrots. And I'll tell you more about the carrots in a minute. So I like sweet and spicy, so carrots are really sweet by themselves. A little salt, right in the bowl, right? Okay, now I've blanched these carrots before I started. You all familiar with that term? Blanching means to boil just briefly in salted water and then drain it and then shock it with ice and cold water so that you get this fabulous, you preserve the color. Oh, nice sound. So, yes. Yes. So the question was, do you blanch them after you cut them? And yes, I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through the steps. What I want to do is get them on the grill. And I think you already noticed that what I've done is cut them so that that I have a really big cooking surface. Okay? Now that's a carrot, right? Okay, so we'll let those go for a couple minutes, and I'll just set this aside right here. All right, fabulous variety of carrots. This is called a chantenay variety. Lots of great carrots out there, but your carrot needs to taste, it's my compost bowl here. Tell me if it's in your way. Your carrot should taste really great. When you cook it briefly, certain vegetables do better and their flavors are enhanced, particularly vegetables with with fat-soluble vitamins like carrots. So carrots are kind of dense, right? They're not filled with water, but you want it to be really sweet and you want to heighten the flavor. So I'm cutting it at an angle, and can you hear how this is not like a super hard carrot? Do you see how quickly and nicely my knife was moving through it? So you want these nice big slabs, and anything little tiny piece, just eat it because it's really good and good for you. So I'm going to check our chard. Isn't that looking beautiful? Smell good? And look at how pretty the green garlic got in the dish. Do you see how all its pretty little strands? So we eat with our eyes too. We're using all our senses already, and we've only made 1.5 dishes. So this will be ready in a minute or two. And let's see, what are we ready for? Let's see how these are doing. So when you've grilled, one of the problems with grilling, everything gets burnt before it gets cooked, right? Ooh, somebody's nodding in agreement. Indeed, indeed. A couple of little tricks. Don't have the heat too high. And vegetables like carrots that are dense, blanch them first. And then that way, and so I just boiled them until you saw they were kind of pliable, just slightly pliable. So this big, a pot full of this is maybe 3 minutes. The nice thing is you can do that ahead, do the day ahead, and let's say you're having people over, then you just toss those with olive oil and do it. And you know how the other thing is? Grilling vegetables takes a lot longer than grilling meat. Blanch them, and it will take a few minutes, and then you can, after that, you can just go on to grill whatever else you want to throw on the Barbie. Pardon? You know what? I would. I actually think that that corn needs moisture, so you can do that by doing it in the husk, because the husk acts as a natural sealer. So that's one way to grill corn. Another way is to just boil it, parboil it, and then or blanch it, and then just finish it off on the grill to get that sort of smoky complexity that you're looking to counterbalance with the sweetness of the vegetable. So we've got the same thing happening with the carrots. Sweet carrots, smoke, heat, all of those things. So let's see, I'm gonna need, how are we doing with this?
I think they're almost ready.
Okay. So then we're ready with it. All right, so what we want, and this is not the most ideal cooking situation, right? Now, I don't know if any of you can see it. Let's turn that down a little bit. But do you see that the carrots are blistering a little as well? That's also because they were boiled first. And that sort of blistering, it's almost like when you're making pastry and you get like these little layers of air. It also just enriches the flavor. Grilling potatoes, I would definitely blanch them first if I wanted to make spectacular potatoes. Hot spot. And you see there, what happens when you're grilling or roasting is that you're losing the moisture in the vegetable and concentrating the flavor. So if you don't have great produce, this will improve what you have. If you have this kind of produce, it will really sing. It will really sing. These dishes will be great, whatever you use, but if you use this kind of ingredient, it will be like, it will be fabulous. And I hope that you'll agree. One of the things that I did, speaking of roasting, I roasted off some summer squash. We're just starting to see this, and I wanted you to see what that looks like, okay? I think you can see it right from here. All I did was toss it with a tiny bit of olive oil, a little salt, and I put it cut side down on a sheet pan, and I roasted it for 15, 18 minutes at 425. And because there's so much natural sugar in the squash, I got that beautiful caramelization. You won't have that with industrially produced, industrially shipped and distributed ingredients. You just can't. So that's what you're looking for. So all I did was one knife cut, and I was good. Right? So with carrots, you don't need to blanch them before roasting. You don't need to blanch zucchini or summer squash. But what you do get is, in fact, roasting is one of my favorite things. I have a lot more control. I don't have to worry about all of this. It's just a lot easier. Conserve it at room temperature. And what I want to show you is that we're going to make a couple of different flavor profiles. We're going to finish one batch one way and one batch another. But I am going to move on to tomatoes. So let's get that. So it's not really, well, let's finish with this first. This is done. All right, what do you think? Nice? Now, you can turn this into a main dish. I love this dish because it works a lot of different ways. You can serve this as a side dish. You can toss this with pasta. You can chop it up and add some more seasonings and serve it like as a bruschetta topping, right? And basically what you're doing is eating your greens. Now what I did today, are you all familiar with farro, ancient wheat? Anybody gluten-free here? Okay, so this really is it's a vegan dish, right? I wasn't attempting to make a vegan dish. What I'm attempting to do is have something really delicious. And as added value, it happens to hit all these other marks. So you can make this with quinoa would be great. Rice would be great. So let's say this is a building block. We've got farro, we've got our greens, and I think it would look really beautiful if we just did that, don't you? Now, if I wanted to really make this into a nice main dish, I could add chickpeas. I could add some of those carrots, right? Toss it all together and have a big bowl of something. I could season it with cheese. What other items what do you like?
Steak on top.
What? What did you say, Kat?
Steak on top.
Steak on top, absolutely. But I think that, you know, a lot of us know how to cook a steak, but most of us have trouble with some of the vegetables, right? Oh, what was that laughing there? What was that? Yes? No? Do you feel like you could do this? Yeah? Because my goal here today is for you to walk away feeling like, you know, if I have 10 minutes, I could make dinner. Something that extra virgin olive oil and something that tastes great. You know what? This is the thing. When you're cooking this simply, everything better taste good. Every ingredient, because there's nothing to hide behind.
Any thoughts on like substituting coconut oil for olive oil, or?
What I would do, my personal preference, so the question is substituting maybe coconut oil for olive oil. I like avocado oil. I like its butteriness. I would use, if you want something really mild, you could use avocado oil. You could use grapeseed oil. So I think that looks pretty spectacular, right? If I do say so myself. So we're building a nice little buffet here for later. All right, so now we'll take the tomatoes. So it's not really tomato season here, but it is tomato season in the desert, where by the time the rest of California tomatoes show up, their season will be done. So talking about seasonality, you want to eat in season. So, and you say, well, like, why are there already tomatoes? It's because they're growing near Palm Springs where it's really hot, right? That's what you want to look for. If it's not in season, there's enough stuff to wait for. So this is going to be an early tomato. Here's another great technique I'm going to show you. We're going to make an instant cold tomato soup, okay? And the better the tomato, the better the soup. So I'm making this today, but in August, the soup is going to be ethereal, all right? Because the better the tomato, the more sun the tomato has had, the better it's going to be. So here's a great way of getting just tomato pulp. I'm going to poke out the seeds with my finger, this great tool. And I'm going to squeeze out some of the juice, and there we go, seeded, okay? Now I'm saving the juice because we're making a cold tomato soup. But watch this little magic trick. Okay, now we need to peel the tomato. What are we going to do? In one move, I'm going to get tomato pulp and skin the tomato. The skin is pretty tough, so it's protecting my fingers. I'm using it on the orange cheese side until I get down to the skin. Et voila. Okay? Pardon? Okay, if you don't care about having the seeds, yes, you can. So the question was, can you skip the seeding part? Yes, if you don't care. Now, why do people take out the seeds? Well, it's a change in texture. Sometimes the tomato seeds can be a little bit bitter, but yeah. But as you can see, it doesn't take very long at all. Yes?
What if you're also okay with the skin? Can you just put it in the blender?
Oh, great question. Why are we doing this instead of putting it in the blender? Well, because when you put it in the blender, what you get is this really frothy thing. And this is all about the tomato, and you'll find that the mouthfeel of this is just much more pleasing. And let's say that you wanted to cook a dish that had, with fresh tomatoes. Like you wanted to start sauteing, and then maybe have some beans and a little fresh tomato. There you go. Okay. So this is the soup. Okay, we're going to add a little salt. And we're going to add a little red wine vinegar. And if you want, you can add a tiny bit of olive oil. You know, fat carries flavor, but you don't need much. And then you would chill this, okay? And then you can do all kinds of add-ins. You can we're gonna top it with avocado, but you could do it with cucumber, you could put in shrimp, you could put in anything you wanted, right? So this is going to be a fabulous cold tomato soup. I hope you'll be pleasantly surprised. And all of the juices, we're just gonna add right back in there from seeding the tomato. Does anybody want to try doing this? Any volunteer? Yeah? All right, we got to take her. What's your name? Lily. Lily. Can you add cream to a cold tomato soup? Why, yes, you can. Wouldn't that be delicious? See, she's cooking. That's how easy it is. Let's see, I need some utensils. No, we can do it right into here. Okay, so you want to get rid of the seeds, so let me give you something to get the seeds out into. So just poke, and we won't worry about straining. I'll put that right in there. We'll get rid of this. Should I time you? I need the herbs and so on for this. And I'll take everything for both, seasoning both of these. There you go. She's a master. Okay? Right? Anybody else want to try the other half of tomato? Okay, what's your name?
I'm PJ.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm going to wash my hands.
Okay. All right, so now we've got these gorgeous grilled carrots, right? Look at that. Nice, appetizing. Perfect. You could season them you could serve them just the way they are. But we're going to dress them. Let's do we're going to do one sort of a Greek or Middle Eastern style. A little olive oil, a little lemon zest, a 5-hole zester. Okay, very handy tool for making beautiful long curls. And do you notice that here's another big technique. I'm doing it right over the food because all the essential oils are in the colored part of the citrus peel, right? Can you already smell the lemon? It's really strong over here. And let's do a squeeze of lemon. And we've got some chopped parsley. Okay, and let's do a little, remember we were layering? It's always nice, of our flavors and our salt, it's always nice, even though these had a little salt in them, to finish with a top layer of salt. Not a lot. And what I'm using here is something called Malden sea salt. Can you see those big flakes? It's a great finishing salt. Okay, it's really nice in salads. Get a nice sort of clean burst of flavor. And since we're doing this Middle Eastern style or Greek style, how about a little feta cheese? Isn't that beautiful? What do you think? Now this would be great with oregano. This would be great with mint in this particular application, this app. But now let's do a completely different take. Let's do something Southeast Asian instead. Let's do lime. I think we need lime zest too, don't you? You can turn off the grill. Yeah, that'd be great. So a little lime, totally different aroma, right? You could do fish sauce if you wanted. Let's get some lime in here. We could do red pepper flakes, but how about should we do some sriracha instead? Okay, that looks good to me. And how about some cilantro? Now I want to show you something about the cilantro. And I think having some big leaves would be really pretty here, don't you? What do you think? Okay, same grilled carrot, totally different flavor profile. I'm sure you could think of about 4 others, right? But what I wanted to show you is cilantro is really perishable. You want to buy cilantro from a farmer who leaves the roots on. It keeps it fresh longer. Okay? That's a careful farmer. That's a farmer who really cares about his crops or her crops. That's what you want. Pardon? The question is how to store them? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I do have some advice on that. So let's see. One thing would be with something like cilantro, just put it in, like if it's stored in a plastic bag with air inside, trap air inside the bag, and then just keep it in the refrigerator. If you want to put any soft herbs like parsley or in water, you can. I wouldn't, but if you wanted to, then don't put it in the refrigerator. Treat it like a vase of flowers, put it in water, and put it in the counter, on the counter. This, by the way, this is a half a bunch. So this is 50 cents, okay? So when you go to the farmer's market, you get really bounteous herbs. You also get gorgeous thyme with its little flowers, which goes really nicely with any questions so far? Like before we get into the next dish?
I have a general question.
Yes.
So, do you decide ahead of time what you're going to cook and then go to farmer's market, or?
You've just asked my favorite question. The question is, do you decide ahead of time and then go to the farmer's market, or the other way around? It's a little bit of both. So one of the things that you do is you need to know the seasons. So you kind of be thinking, oh, it's May. I'm not going to find eggplant right now, so I'm not going to have in my mind eggplant. It's too early for eggplant. And you're thinking, well, it's really time for cherries. And by the way, I'm doing a great cherry almond salad on KCRW's Good Food this Saturday at 11. Really interesting way of dealing with salad and with fruit. But I know that it's cherry season, so I know I'm going to focus on cherries. Peaches have started to show up, but it's a little bit early for them. So there's a flavor arc. So I like to think about, I want to be up here, okay? When it's early, flavors aren't as developed, things might be kind of tart. I want to be up here at the peak. And then, of course, you get down to the other side. So I'm going to taste the tomatoes. So I'm going to add salt. I'm going to add a little vinegar. So it's all by flavor. If your tomatoes are very acid, add a little more sweet, like a sweet tomato. If they're not acid enough, add a little vinegar or a little lemon or a little lime, depending. You could make this Southeast Asian flavors if you wanted, or Mexican or Italian or anything you wanted. If it seems too thick, add some ice cubes. Oh, that's tasting good. And just chill it. The wonderful varieties that you can get at the farmer's market. This is a Pinkerton, and it's a cross between a Fuerte and a Haas. And it has a smallish seed and a lot of meat in the neck. And one of its advantages, did you see how I did that? Technique. Is that it holds its shape, which is nice when you want to dice it sort of small to top our soup. Okay, and then if you had a reasonably sized spoon, you would just scoop out all the avocado and voila, you have a lot of little pieces. Okay, here you go. So are you getting the idea of what you want to do? Did I mention, so, I know you all got the books, but my book is available through my website, ameliasaltsman.com, and I also, I blog about all kinds of, sort of all the nexi of food. Today's blog post that came out, that went live, is sort of about LA culinary history and sort of the surprises. It's like Scripps olive oil. Scripps College produced olive oil, and they won. They won the international tasting thing. But we've been making olive oil in Los Angeles for over 100 years, but nobody knows that. Check it out. So salad. What we've got are some incredible, beautiful salad greens. I think you get stuff from Maggie's Farm. A beautiful mix. They call this the Charger mix, and so it's got a lot of different flavors. It's got slightly bitter frisee. It's one of the chicories. It's got radicchio. It's got this gorgeous little gems. So again, texture. I thought maybe we would do fennel in the salad. Are you all familiar with fennel? Oh, she's making a face. Okay, you're used to like fennel seeds in sausage. Okay, but this is the fennel bulb. This is a female one because you can see how like round it is. The male ones are kind of flat. Sorry, guys. But you just want to, and you like it when it comes with the tops on. Okay, and you take off the rough outer portion. And did you notice I left a handle? Now you can use this part for, you can use the fronds. They taste like a little bit like anise. You could use that in the salad. You could use that wrapped around fish, would be very nice. But one thing that's really nice and quick is to shave, to get different shapes, different textures. So fennel is a little bit sweet, but I think it makes a beautiful shaved element, right? And that goes pretty fast. And look how I'm protecting my fingers, multitasking vegetables. And then you get this. Now this, you could have a salad just of the fennel with a little olive oil or walnut oil and salt and pepper. But we're putting it together with the greens. You could put it, there we go, and spring is radish time. So this is a late spring salad. You notice that the tomatoes aren't going in the salad because there's a lot more to salad than tomatoes, lettuce, and cucumber. Okay? And so now we've got all these beautiful colors. We could add fruit to it. We could add cherries to it, but I think I would probably add to this salad, I would probably add some citrus. And for a change of pace, do we have any nut allergies? No, we're good? Walnut oil, really nice with a salad. It's a good dressing salad, oil. This is a really nice oil made by a walnut producer. Toss the salad right in the bowl. Okay, no extra dish. We'll use our crunchy salt. Do you see how I'm crushing it? A little pepper, black pepper, optional. And let's use some more of that lemon since we've got it. Nice squeeze and toss this out. Now, if you had 2 minutes to make a salad, what would you use? Right? Yes?
I would put the greens and the radishes and yogurt, and that'd be good.
Okay, that sounds great. She says she'll dress it with yogurt. So that would be great. If I had 2 minutes, I'd probably just use the lettuces. A little bit of oil, a little salt, maybe a squeeze of lemon. If the greens are delicious, I don't even need the lemon, and the oil is delicious. And there's a beautiful salad. And then it looks beautiful mounted on a platter, right? What do you think? Good?
I'm getting ideas for my Thanksgiving table.
Oh, different season. We'll have to do this again with a whole different set of ingredients. Well, let's take a look at the asparagus. So I wanted to show you purple asparagus. Okay. Beautiful, right? When you cut into it, so I cut them to show you how beautiful it is when you cook them. This purple asparagus, season's almost over, but it cooks up, it loses the purple, but it's like a deep, deep green, and it's really sweet. Do you all like asparagus? Okay. So another cooking technique, you can just almost like stir fry asparagus in this way. If the asparagus were whole, you could roast it or grill it the way we did, right? That's the smallest one. And asparagus goes really nicely with butter. So if you used butter, you could cook it in butter. If you didn't, you could cook it in avocado oil, which would be great. And if you wanted to make an entire dinner in about 10 minutes, what I would do, and have done plenty of times, is I'll cook up asparagus. I won't even go to the trouble of cutting it into pretty pieces. Push it aside, crack open a couple of eggs, okay? And when it's done, shave, use a vegetable peeler, and shave big shavings of Parmesan cheese. Dinner. It's good. All I'm saying. It's really good. If the eggs are great, and if the asparagus is delicious. And you know, put your hand over the, if it's, how fast does it get hot? That's what you want to know. Not hot enough. Any more questions? Anything you would like to know about shopping in farmers markets, about how to choose, about how to go, any ingredients we haven't covered that you'd really like to know about? Julie. What markets do I recommend besides Santa Monica Farmers Market? The Venice Friday morning market is a really nice little market. They really have, it's small, but it's choice. The Sunday Mar Vista Market is a fabulous market. The Beverly Hills Sunday Market, also excellent. Trying to think what else is on the west side. So Santa Monica, and then, you know, there are 4 Santa Monica markets, right? And the one on Wednesday is the largest, is one of the largest in the country. So we just want that to cook really quickly.
Any recommendations in the South Bay market?
The South Bay Torrance, the Torrance market is great. That's the jewel in the crown for Torrance, okay, for the South Bay. There's also now a market in Playa Vista. Okay, so I threw in a little whole thyme sprigs. Can you smell that? Do you want to pass that around? It's really delicious. Do I wash it? If it's dirty. If it would touch it. But yeah, you can just give it a rinse. Now, you know, one of the things that I wanted to say about, we were talking about storing herbs. So when you have a woody herb, like thyme or rosemary, they'll just keep them on the counter and they will dry naturally, and then they'll be like having dried herbs, okay? So for our last little trick, when I made you a little cauliflower salad too. So for my last little trick, I want to show you how to cut an orange. So that you get beautiful slices. Top and bottom off. Shave the sides to expose the back of the pulp. Turn it, finish the job. Now, this is if you're in the mood to do something pretty. If you're not in the mood to do something pretty, but if you're wondering how they do something pretty, this is the way. This technique also works well for melons when you get, you know, obviously you're not going to segment it, but if you take the melon, cut off the top, cut off the bottom, and go, then it's a lot faster than cutting a lot of little wedges. Okay, now what I have, let's do it, let's add it right to our salad. What do you think? Okay? Just cut between the membranes. And there you go. Beautiful little segments of orange. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay, good question. What kind of orange is this? This is a navel orange. The navel season is just beginning, and actually, this is a Washington navel, which is the first navel orange to come to California. And this is what made California famous for oranges. And we just are finishing Valencias, which have seeds but have a lot of juice, although this isn't too bad. Now, do you see how I'm getting like a book of membranes? And then when you get all the way through, we'll just squeeze the orange juice right on top. All right, any other questions? Yes?
So, I guess it's a little bit of a loaded question, but what would you prefer, buying not organic at the farmer's market or going to the store for organic?
So the question is about organics. This is what I like to do. So when something is certified organic, it just means one simple thing, which is that the farmer has complied with a certain level of growing practices. Many farmers who aren't certified organic farm at a much higher level of sustainable farming practice. So, well, that just makes it a little bit difficult, right? So, for the consumer. So, for me, I do the following. Number one is that I start shopping and gauging the farmer, and the easiest way to know what a farmer is like and how he or she grows is, we're coming right back to the beginning, flavor. It's really hard to grow for flavor first. So anybody who does that has to have really good practices. Is it a guarantee? No. But you have to grow the soil first. So you have to be a dedicated farmer who really is nurturing and nourishing the soil. Terroir, it's about what the soil gives to the food, not just wine, anything that grows in the ground. So it influences how our food tastes. If you choose a variety that its marker is flavor, as opposed to shippability or storage or perfection, okay? It may not be the easiest thing to grow, but if you care enough, you're going to grow for flavor. You're going to choose that variety because you're a really proud and passionate grower. And the other thing is that if you grow for flavor, you are going to wait till the last minute. You saw how juicy that orange was. That orange is stored on the tree, not in a shed. The months that it stays after its first beginning, remember that arc over here? It's just continuing to gain flavor from the warm sun and then the cold nights, which gives us really good contrast. That's why we have such amazing produce in California. It's that Mediterranean climate. So I go by flavor, and then I ask questions. So for me, that's how I make my decision. If I were at a supermarket, I would probably just make sure that I was buying organic because that's the only touchstone I would have. That's the only guide I would have. But my preference would be to buy from growers that I know. Did I answer your question in full? Yeah. So I like, local, when it's grown locally, it means it's in season. So it's easy. If it has good flavor, it's going to tend to be good for you, well grown, good for the planet. So it's not that hard to do all the things we really want to do. And if we just, I'll just close with this. The most important thing we can do for ourselves and the planet is to cook from scratch from well-grown ingredients. If we cook for ourselves, we will be healthier. And if we cook with good ingredients, the planet will be healthier. So that's what it takes. Anyway, thank you. So I hope you'll come and taste, and I'd be happy to sign your books if you would like. In the side dish section, there's a whole primer for roasting vegetables, what temperature, how long, whether you need to blanch it or not. So it's a whole guide, because really it's all about a little olive oil, a little salt, and a sheet pan. You are good to go. That is life's answer.